first 30 seconds. But let's assume for today that you know who your audience is, whether it's one-on-one, one-on-many, makes no difference. And let's get into the actual material. So now I'm going to present. I look at presentations as having basically, well, I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm going to hand you today some tools. Tools that hopefully you'll start using when you present. I'm going to share 3 tools with you here today. Okay? And as we get into it, what I want to focus on is just the opening. Because the rest of it, most people are fine in the middle of their presentation, but the opening tends to be the weakest part of most people's presentations. The closing also, but I'm only going to talk about the opening here today. So let's begin. I see hundreds of people present, whether it's entrepreneurs or customer presentations, wherever they're presenting. And they all kind of look like this. And like this. They all sound the same, they smell the same, they use the same words, they look the same. If they're in social networking, they're all saying the same things, but every once in a while you see somebody that stands out. And this is what I'm going to give you some tools today so you can stand out. You don't have to stand on your head to stand out, but you will stand out if you start using some of the tools that I'm going to share with you today. Number 1 is this: how to stand out among a crowd. Romero Brito is a pop artist. He happens to be one of the most popular pop artists in the world today because he was willing to go big and go colorful and break the rules of art. So I want to tell you how never to be the same as anyone ever again. And all you need to do is remember this. S-A-M-E. That's what you need to remember. Just remember this word, and you'll never sound the same as anyone ever again. But actually there's 2 S's here. Let's go through each one. Here's the number 1 way to captivate any audience in less than 30 seconds. You ready? Here it is. Are you going to say, I know you're going to say, oh, I already knew that. Here it is. And it doesn't even take 30 seconds. The first S, story. You need to tell stories. And when you walk up in front of an audience and say, you know, before I begin today, I just want to share a short story that happened to me on the way here today. Well, you'll never believe what happened on the flight when I was flying in yesterday. Do you want to hear the rest of that story? I'm just making it up. But the point is, when you start with a story, just like Steve Jobs went in front of the 2008 graduating class at Stanford, he walked up to the lectern and he said, "Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I have 3 stories to share with you here today." And everybody got their paper out and they wrote down 1, 2, 3. Because they were ready for 3 stories. So story. If you're looking for help on how to tell stories, one of the most effective books that I've read was written by Craig Wortman. He and I presented at the Kauffman Foundation last year, and I thought he was an excellent speaker. His book, called What's Your Story, really breaks it down for you. It breaks it down into success stories, failure stories, customer stories, prospect stories, personal stories, backstories, logo stories, feature function stories, all these different stories that you can use when you're talking to people that make it a lot more interesting than if you just talk fact, 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 or feature, feature, feature. The best part of stories is they're repeated. So when you tell someone a story, if it's a good one, they might repeat it. When you're presenting to angel or venture capitalists, and you're doing a one-on-one presentation with them, guess what? They have to go back and talk to their team and their partners. Are they going to repeat your facts? Maybe, but they might repeat your story. Okay, so that's the first S. Now let's jump to the E. The E is a place where most people go when they want to talk about what they're doing. They use examples. And examples are great. But in a large room, if you choose one example, like a director's chair as an example, and you describe what a director's chair is like, some people in the room might be thinking about a club chair or a rocking chair. So you might confuse your audience a little bit. So examples, while good, I believe tend to be not as effective as a story or the other 3 things I'm going to share with you right now. So examples of what the E stands for. The next I want to share with you is a story. So at the IBM Smart Camp Finals last year, there were 11 presenters that went up to present. And the 7th one went up and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited to be here today because I want to share with you our machine that turns water into money. And that's how the 400 people in the room reacted. And he actually does make a machine that turns water into money, and this is it. It's about so big, turbines on the outside edges, flappers in the middle, you throw it into a waterway, the flappers start turning, you plug it into the grid, and now you have free electricity. So does he turn water into money? No, of course not literally, but he's using the famous metaphor. Metaphors are so powerful in business, but we don't tend to use them enough. So the M in same stands for metaphors. And metaphors, just in case you need to remind yourself of the formula, because it's been a while, it's just when you say A is B, or A are B. The trees are the lungs of the earth. It's a metaphor. They're not literally, well, in some cases, some people say, actually, yes, they are literal. Okay, so that's what the M stands for. Okay, the next is